Hello there. Welcome to the psychology of sleep. Tonight, I want to take you back not just to yesterday or your childhood, but to the very first moment that ever existed. You've been told the Big Bang was an explosion, a violent, noisy burst. But what if I told you that is a myth? What if the beginning of everything was actually the most peaceful, silent transition the cosmos has ever known? Stay with me as we drift into the darkness, because in the next few minutes, you'll discover why the very static on your television is a message from a time before the Earth was even a thought. I want you to imagine a room, but this isn't a room with walls or a floor. It is simply space. In the beginning, there was no outside. There was no empty void for the universe to explode into. Instead, I envision the universe as a soft, stretching fabric. As I breathe in, the fabric expands. As I breathe out, it grows even further. The Big Bang doesn't describe a bang at all. It describes our universe expanding from an ultra-hot, ultra-smooth beginning. It was not an explosion in space. It was space itself expanding. Imagine the relief of that: no debris flying, no chaos, just the room of our existence getting larger to make space for everything that would eventually become you. But as this room grew, it wasn't empty. It was filled with a glowing fog so thick that light itself couldn't move. Do you know what was hiding behind that fog? As we drift deeper into this first chapter, I want you to feel the connection between your body and this ancient expansion. Every atom within you shares a lineage with these earliest moments. It's a strange, beautiful thought. The laws that shaped the first galaxies are the same laws that allow your heart to beat and your lungs to draw air in this very moment. When we look outward with our telescopes, we see galaxies racing away, red shifting like the fading embers of a campfire. But they aren't running away from us. They are simply riding the wave of space that is still stretching, even as you lie here. We are part of a framework that is constantly being checked against the sky, a story that is still being written, but there is a mystery in the numbers. If the universe started so perfectly smooth, how did we get here? Why didn't the universe stay a boring, uniform mist forever? The early universe was amazingly even. If it had stayed that way, nothing interesting would ever have formed. Gravity needs differences to work. It needs a little lumpiness, the remarkable twist the thing. That keeps me awake in wonder is that the early universe did have small variations. These ripples were slight, yet they were enough. Over immense stretches of time, the denser regions tugged just a little harder. They pulled in more material. They became the gas clouds, then the stars, and finally the galaxies that we see today. You are the result of a runaway process that built structure from almost nothing. But what if I told you there is a fossil of this moment still surrounding you right now? A light that has been traveling for 13 billion years just to reach your eyes. Imagine the universe as a glowing fog. For a long time, light was trapped, bouncing off electrons, like a person lost in a thick blizzard. But then the temperature fell. Electrons settled into atoms, and suddenly the curtain lifted. For the first time, light could travel long distances without being knocked around. Those ancient photons have been crossing the empty cold of space ever since. They are arriving at Earth right now, from every direction. This is the cosmic microwave background, the oldest light we can see. It is a snapshot of the universe when it was still a child. You might think this light is far away, but it's actually in your room. If you've ever seen static on an old television, you've seen the Big Bang. But how can a bang from the beginning of time end up inside your TV? As you continue to relax, realize that this ancient glow has cooled to just a few degrees above absolute zero. It sets a temperature floor for everything in existence. It is a coldness that isn't empty. It is a coldness full of information. It is the signature of our beginning, a silent hum that permeates every inch of the room you are in. We have only just begun to peel back the layers of this story. We've seen the room grow, and we've felt the first light. But what about the things we can't see? What about the invisible scaffold that holds the stars in place? If most of the universe is made of dark matter that we cannot touch or see, are we living in a ghost story written by gravity itself? I want you to take a deep breath with me, in and out. As your body sinks further into your bed, I want to tell you a secret about the darkness outside your window. When you look at the night sky, you see the stars, the bright lanterns of the cosmos. But did you know that the stars are not the main characters of the story? They are merely the ornaments on a much larger, invisible structure. There is a silent, força, ghostly scaffold that was built before the first star ever ignited. Without it, you wouldn't be here, and the universe would be a lonely, drifting mist. Tonight, we explore the mystery of the unseen, the dark matter that cradles everything you've ever known. Imagine you are holding a gift box. It looks heavy, but when you lift it, it feels like it's filled with lead, far heavier than the cardboard should allow. This is exactly what happened when we first weighed the galaxies. As I sit here with you, I imagine the astronomers watching the stars orbit the centers of their galaxies. They realized something unsettling. The stars are moving too fast. Based on the light we can see, the galaxies should be flying apart, their stars scattering into the void like sparks from a fire. But they don't. Something unseen is adding extra gravity, a silent grip that holds billions of stars in a perfect, rotating dance. We call it dark matter, but that is just a name for a mystery we are still trying to touch. It is the invisible hand of the universe. But where did this invisible hand come from? And why did it start building a home for us long before the universe was even transparent? Long before there were shining galaxies, this dark matter began to gather. Imagine the early universe as a vast, smooth ocean of gas. On its own, the gas had a hard time settling down. It was hot, and the pressure of ancient radiation pushed it back, preventing it from clumping together. But dark matter was different. It didn't feel that pressure. It was like a ghost passing through a crowd, unaffected by the heat or the light. Because it was immune to the chaos, it began to pool into massive, invisible wells. These wells became the scaffold. As the universe cooled, the ordinary gas, the stuff that would become your breath, your skin, and the earth began to fall into these pre-made gravitational cradles. The first galaxies were born inside these invisible halos. We are living inside a structure that was mapped out in the dark. If we are surrounded by this scaffold, why can't we feel it? Why does it pass through us like a whisper in the night? It is a strange thought to realize that most of the matter in the universe is not made of atoms. You and I, the trees, the runewee, are the exception, not the rule. Scientists are currently building experiments deep underground, trying to catch just one of these dark matter particles as they stream through the Earth. They are looking for a new kind of physics, a catalog of existence that goes beyond what we can see or touch. I find a deep peace in this. It means there is still so much more to the world than our daily worries. We are part of a vast, hidden architecture that is far more complex than we ever imagined. But as this scaffold was being built, a war was happening. A war between matter and its twin antimatter. A war that almost ended the story before it began. In the hot, early moments of the universe, energy was constantly transforming into pairs of matter and antimatter. They were perfect opposites. If they touched, they would annihilate back into pure light. If the universe had been perfectly fair, everything would have canceled out. There would be no planets, no stars, and no one to tell this story. But for reasons we are still investigating, the universe played favorites. For every billion pairs that vanished, one tiny piece of matter was left over. That small leftover, that imbalance, is everything we see today. You are the survivor of a cosmic coincidence. We have explored the dark scaffold and the miracle of our existence. But there is one final force, something even more mysterious than dark matter, that is pushing the galaxies away from us right now. As your eyes grow heavy, think of the universe not as a static map, but as a living, breathing thing. While gravity tries to pull things together, a force called dark energy is doing the opposite. It is making the expansion of space speed up in the far future. The galaxies we see today will slip beyond a cosmic horizon, moving so fast that their light can never reach us again. The universe is growing, stretching, and changing while you sleep. But for tonight, you are here. You are safe within the scaffold. You are part of the
Take a
lumpiness
moment to
that
feel
gravity
the weight
chose
of your
to
eyelids.
keep. Just as you are settling into the quiet of the night, there was a time when the entire universe settled into a great cosmic peace. For the first 380,000 years, the cosmos was a place of beautiful, golden chaos, a glowing fog so thick that no light could ever escape. But then, in a single, magnificent transition, the fog cleared, the curtain lifted. Tonight, I am going to tell you how the universe became transparent, and why the very first light ever created is still touching your skin right now as you sleep. Imagine standing in the middle of a warm, golden cloud. You can feel the heat, but you cannot see your own hand in front of your face. This was the early universe. It wasn't dark. It was actually too bright, because it was so hot. Electrons were dancing wildly, refusing to settle down. Every time a photon particle of light tried to travel, it would instantly bump into one of these energetic electrons and scatter away. Light existed, but it was trapped in a game of cosmic pinball. The universe was an opaque plasma, a thick soup of energy and matter interacting constantly. There were no stars yet, no planets, just a humming, vibrating warmth that filled every inch of the expanding room we spoke of earlier. But the universe was cooling, and as the temperature dropped, a great silence was about to fall over the atoms. Do you know what happens to light when it finally finds its freedom? As the eons passed, the expansion of space stretched the heat, cooling the cosmos down. Eventually, the temperature hit a magic threshold, about 3,000 degrees. Suddenly, the electrons grew tired of their wild dance. They slowed down enough to be captured by nuclei, forming the very first neutral atoms of hydrogen and helium. This was the moment of recombination. As the electrons settled into their new homes, the path for light suddenly cleared. The fog vanished. For the first time in history, the universe became transparent. Those trapped photons were finally released, streaming across the void in perfectly straight lines. It was the universe's first breath. This light didn't just disappear into the past. It is still moving. It is in the room with you right now. But why can't our eyes see it anymore? As you breathe slowly, imagine those first photons traveling through billions of years of space. As the universe continued to stretch, the light itself was stretched. What began as a hot orange glow was pulled into longer and longer wavelengths. It shifted from visible light into infrared and eventually into microwaves. This is the cosmic microwave background. It is a fossil of the moment the universe became clear. If our eyes could see microwaves, the entire night sky would glow with a soft, uniform radiance, even in the darkest gaps between the stars. It is a beautiful thought. A small percentage of the static on an old, untuned television comes from this very moment. A journey that began long before the Earth was formed is finishing its trip right there in your living room. But this glow isn't perfectly smooth. It has tiny, cold spots. These cold spots are the information that tells us where you and I came from. When scientists look at this all-sky glow with sensitive instruments, they find tiny variations in temperature differences of only a fraction of a degree. These aren't just random bumps. They are a map of the primordial conditions of the cosmos. The denser spots in this light show us where gravity was beginning to pull matter together. It is a snapshot of the universe's nursery. By studying this glow, we can test our ideas about how the early universe behaved with astonishing precision. We are looking at a picture from before stars existed, seeing the seeds of every galaxy that would ever be. We have seen the light break free and the atoms form. But there was a long period of darkness that followed, a time before the first star ever turned on. As your mind drifts into the quiet, remember that after the first light was released, the universe entered the dark ages. There was light traveling through space, but there were no objects yet to create new light. The universe was a vast sea of neutral gas, waiting for gravity to do its slow, patient work. You are a part of this patient story. The hydrogen in your body was there, in that early fog, waiting for the curtain to lift. You are made of the very stuff that finally allowed the light to shine during those millions of years of darkness before the first star. What was the universe dreaming of as it waited for the fire to return? I want you to imagine the deepest, most perfect darkness, a silence so heavy it feels like a soft blanket over the entire universe. For millions of years after the first light faded, the cosmos was a lonely place, the vast sea of cold hydrogen and helium gas drifting in the shadows. This was the Dark Ages. But even in this darkness, something was stirring. Gravity was working in the silence, pulling at the threads of the cosmic web. Tonight, we are going to witness the moment the very first star turned on, piercing the gloom and beginning the long, beautiful process of creating the atoms that now make up your heart and your hands. In this era, the universe was simple. There were no metals, no oxygen, and no solid ground to stand on. There was only the limited toolkit of the beginning: hydrogen, helium, and a tiny trace of lithium. Because these light gases don't cool down easily, the first stars couldn't just pop into existence. They had to be patient. Imagine vast clouds of gas, millions of times more massive than our sun, slowly turning and collapsing under their own weight. Without the heavier elements we have today to help shed heat, these clouds had to grow incredibly large and dense before they could ignite. As you lie here, feel the slow, heavy pull of that ancient gravity. It wasn't a rush, it was a billion-year-long descent into the light. But as these giant clouds collapsed, they were doing something secret. They were building a furnace hot enough to rewrite the laws of the universe. Do you know what happens to the simplest atoms when they are squeezed with the weight of 1,000,000 suns? Eventually, at the very center of one of these massive clouds, the pressure became unthinkable. The temperature climbed until it hit millions of degrees. In that moment, the first nuclear reaction ignited. 2 hydrogen atoms were forced together, fused by the sheer will of gravity into something new, helium. This was the cosmic dawn, the first pinprick of light in a universe that had known only darkness for eons. These first stars, known as population 3 stars, were unlike anything we see today. They were giants, hundreds of times larger than our sun, burning with a blue-white intensity that would have been blinding to any eyes that were there to see it. They were the pioneers, the explorers, who first claimed the territory of the light. These stars were beautiful, but they were also tragic. Because they were so large, they burned through their fuel with a frantic speed. Their lives were short, but their deaths are the reason you are alive today. As these first stars neared the end of their brief lives, they began to create. Inside their cores, the process didn't stop at helium. The intense heat allowed them to fuse atoms into even heavier elements: carbon, nitrogen, and oxygen. This is the middle chapter of your origin story. When these stars finally exhausted their fuel, they didn't just fade away. They exploded in violent, beautiful supernovas, scattering their newly forged treasures across the void. The carbon that anchors your biology, the oxygen that flows through your blood, and the iron that carries it, all of it was cooked inside these first stellar furnaces and released into the cosmos. Even the gold in a wedding ring or the silver in a coin has a story that traces back to these violent endings. But if all this was happening out there, how did it find its way in here, into the very room where you are sleeping? You are a walking record of cosmic history. Some of your atoms are primordial, the hydrogen that has been around since the first 3 minutes of time. Others are star stuff, forged in the bellies of giants that lived and died long before our solar system was even a cloud of dust. None of these stories replace each other. They layer on top of one another. The early universe provided the raw simplicity, and the stars added the complexity. As you breathe, you are inhaling the work of 1 billion years of stellar evolution. You are the universe's way of finally experiencing itself. We have seen how the first stars turned the darkness into a laboratory for life. But there is a final mystery. As these stars gathered into galaxies, they started a race that is still happening today, a race against the stretching of space itself. As you drift closer to sleep, think of the stars as lanterns hanging in a much larger, darker house. They illuminate the path, but they don't fill the whole room. The universe is still mostly empty, still mostly cold, and still expanding. The light from those first stars is still traveling, though it is now so faint and so stretched that it requires our most powerful telescopes to see. It reminds us that we are part of a long, unbroken chain, from the first atom to the first star, and finally to the quiet room where you lie tonight. The fire of the beginning hasn't gone out, it has just changed its shape. It is now the warmth in your skin and the dream in your mind. I want you to imagine you are floating high above the world, higher than the clouds, higher than the moon, until the entire universe looks like a shimmering web of light. Have you ever wondered why the stars aren't just scattered randomly like grains of sand? Why do they cluster together into beautiful, spiraling cities of light we call galaxies? Tonight, we are going to look at the hidden map of the universe, the cosmic web. We will discover how gravity acted like a master weaver for billions of years, turning tiny ripples into a network of filaments that look remarkably like the neurons in your own brain. Stay with me, for as you drift toward sleep, you will realize that you are never truly alone in the dark. You are part of a structure so large it defies the imagination. As we spoke of before, the Big Bang was not an explosion into a room. It was the room itself growing. But as this room grew, it didn't grow empty. Every region of the universe sees other distant regions moving away because the space between them is being stretched. This is why there is no special center to point at and no edge you could ever reach. I want you to feel that expansion in your mind, a gentle, infinite stretching of everything. Because space is expanding, the very scale between faraway places is changing. This geometry is the foundation of our home. It explains why distant galaxies seem to recede faster than the speed of light without breaking any laws of physics. Nothing is outrunning light through space. Instead, the space itself is just getting wider. But if space is stretching everything apart, how did anything ever manage to come together? How did the first beads of light form on these invisible threads? In the early days, the universe was amazingly smooth, with energy and particles spread almost uniformly. If it had stayed that way, the universe would be a boring, featureless mist. But gravity needed tiny differences to amplify. The remarkable twist is that the early universe did have small variations. We can still see their fingerprints today in the oldest light. Over immense time, the denser regions tugged a little harder, pulling in more material and becoming denser still. This runaway process built structure from almost nothing. Tiny early ripples grew into galaxies, clusters, and eventually the vast cosmic web we see today. Imagine these filaments like a giant laboratory. By mapping where the galaxies are, scientists can actually test how fast the universe expanded and how strongly gravity shaped its growth. But what is the web actually made of? What is the thread that holds a galaxy in place? The large-scale structure of our universe is one of the most striking outcomes of simple gravity acting for a long time on small beginnings. Matter streamed into the denser regions, and vast filaments grew between enormous, empty voids. Galaxies formed along these filaments like beads on threads. Where these threads intersected, enormous clusters of galaxies assembled. When you look at the night sky, you are seeing a grown-up version of those faint early irregularities, magnified by gravity into a universe full of shape and purpose. Your own Milky Way is just one of these beads, nestled into a filament that has been under construction since the first minutes of time. As you listen to the rhythm of my voice, consider this: we can only see a small part of this web. There is a boundary to what we can observe, a cosmic horizon. Do you know what lies beyond the edge of our sight? The observable universe has a horizon because light has had only a limited time to reach us. The universe has a finite age, so even if something is out there, its light may not have arrived yet. This isn't a wall in space or an edge to the whole universe. It is simply an edge of information for us. It makes cosmology feel like detective work. The universe gives us a sphere of evidence, and inside that sphere, we must reconstruct the story using light, gravity, and the patterns that survived from the earliest eras. But some regions will never be seen. Even if you wait forever, expansion outruns their light, leaving those chapters of the story permanently beyond our reach. This suggests that the universe contains vast realms that are real, yet permanently disconnected from our future. It is a built-in mystery of geometry, but even if we can't see them, we can feel the pulse of the expansion. As your body softens and your breathing slows, remember that the universe is a record of changing geometry. It is not a fixed dome of lights, but a living history. We see distant galaxies as they were, not as they are now. Astronomy is the only science where the past is brought directly to you. You are part of this interconnected web. The atoms that anchor your biology were formed in the same stellar furnaces that created the light we see from these distant filaments. You are a node in the cosmic network, a place where the universe has stopped to think, to breathe, and to sleep. The day is fading away now, and the vast architecture of the cosmos is here to watch over you. As you drift now on the very edge of sleep, we have reached the final chapter of our journey. We have seen the birth of light, the building of stars, and the weaving of the cosmic web. But where is it all going? What happens when the last star flickers out, trillions of years from now? Tonight, we look into the far future not with fear, but with a sense of ultimate peace. We will explore dark energy, the mysterious force that is gently pushing the galaxies away, and the big freeze, a time when the universe will finally settle into a deep, eternal slumber. Stay with me for these final moments, for in the vastness of the future, there is a silence so perfect it can carry you into the deepest rest you have ever known for a long time. We thought the universe was like a ball thrown into the air. Eventually, gravity would slow it down and perhaps pull it back. But in the late 1990s, we discovered something that changed everything. The ball isn't slowing down, it's accelerating. It's as if an invisible hand is pushing the universe outward, faster and faster every second. We call this force dark energy. It makes up about 70% of everything in existence, yet we cannot see it, taste it, or touch it. It is the energy of space itself. Imagine the relief of that. The more space there is, the more energy there is to push things apart. It is a constant, steady breath that ensures the universe will never collapse back into the heat of the beginning. It is a one-way journey into the infinite. But if everything is being pushed apart, what does the sky look like to those who might exist in the far, far future? Will they see the same stars we see tonight? I want you to imagine a time trillions of years from now. The universe is much larger than it is today. Because of dark energy, the distant galaxies have been pushed so far away that their light can no longer reach us. The night sky is becoming lonelier. One by one, the distant cities of light we call galaxies slip over the cosmic horizon, disappearing into the dark. Eventually, our own Milky Way will be part of a small, local group of galaxies that have merged together, surrounded by a vast, empty void. The cosmic web we spoke of will begin to thin. It is like a house where the lights are being turned off in distant rooms, one by one, as the inhabitants go to sleep. It isn't a tragedy. It is the natural rhythm of a universe that has finished its work. But even as the galaxies fade, the stars themselves have a final story to tell. There is a type of star that burns so slowly it could outlive the current age of the universe 1,000 times over. The stars we see tonight, the big, bright ones, are the hairs of the cosmic race. They burn fast and die young. But there are tortoises in the sky, red dwarfs. These are small, cool, dim stars that sip their hydrogen fuel with incredible patience. A red dwarf star can live for trillions of years. In the deep future, these will be the only lanterns left in the dark. Imagine a universe populated by these tiny, glowing embers, providing a soft, dim light to any planets that huddle around them. It is a long, slow, twilighted cosmic evening that lasts longer than we can possibly imagine. But eventually, even the red dwarfs will run out of fuel. What happens when the very last star in the universe finally grows cold? What is left in the silence? When the last star fades, the universe enters the era of heat death, or, as I prefer to call it, the Big Freeze. This isn't a violent end, it is simply a state of maximum entropy. It means the energy has spread out so perfectly, so evenly, that there are no more differences in temperature, no more wind, no more fire, no more change. The universe becomes a vast, quiet ocean of particles, so far apart that they may never meet again. It is the ultimate expression of peace. Everything that needed to happen has happened. Every story has been told. The universe has finally reached a state of perfect, undisturbed rest. You might think this sounds cold, but there is a profound beauty in it. It means the universe is finite in its activity, but infinite in its existence. And you were there for the brightest part of the show. As you feel yourself drifting away now, realize that we are living in the golden age of the universe. We live in a time when the sky is full of stars, when galaxies are visible, and when life is possible. You are a witness to the most vibrant chapter of the cosmic story. The atoms in your body, which were forged in the Big Bang and cooked in the hearts of stars, will eventually return to the void. They will be part of that long, eternal drift. You are not separate from the universe. You are the universe experiencing itself for a brief, shining moment before it goes to sleep. The expansion is carrying us all toward a place of quiet. The stars are watching over you. The dark energy is holding the space for your dreams. The story is complete. Close your eyes now. The cosmos is at rest, and so are you. I want you to listen very closely to the sound of my voice. Beyond the stars, beyond the black holes, and beyond the cold drift of dark energy, there is a place where the universe and your mind become one. Have you ever felt, in that brief moment before sleep takes you, that you are dissolving into the room? Tonight, we explore the most relaxing fact of all, the quantum connection. We are going to discover how the very first particles of the Big Bang are vibrating inside your brain right now, and why sleep is actually a return to the original state of the cosmos. Stay with me for this final hour, because by the end, the boundary between you and the stars will vanish entirely, leaving you in a state of perfect, universal peace. As you lie still, feel the pulse in your fingertips. That pulse is powered by oxygen, and as we learned, that oxygen was born in the heart of a dying sun. But let's go deeper. Let's go back to the hydrogen. About 10% of your body weight is made of hydrogen atoms that have never been inside a star. They are primordial. They have existed, unchanged, since the first 3 minutes of the Big Bang. Think of that. You are carrying a physical piece of the beginning of time inside you. When you move your hand, you are moving matter that was present when the universe was smaller than an orange. You aren't just a visitor in this universe. You are a piece of the original bang that has grown a mind and a heart. You are the universe's way of looking back at its own birth and saying, I remember. But there is a deeper connection, a connection that happens at the subatomic level, where distance doesn't exist. Do you know about the quantum ghost that links you to the furthest edge of space? In the very first moment of the Big Bang, everything was touched. Every particle was squeezed together in a state of perfect unity. In quantum physics, There is a concept called it suggests that when two particles have been in contact, they remain connected, no matter how far apart they move. Because everything in the universe started in the same tiny point, there is a part of you that is still entangled with the furthest galaxy in the sky. When a star collapses on the other side of the cosmos, the particles within you feel a ghostly echo of that event. You are part of a cosmic web that isn't just made of gravity, but of instant, invisible threads of information. You are never truly isolated. You are woven into the very fabric of reality. As your breathing slows, consider this. Why does sleep feel so natural? Why does the darkness of the night feel like a home we've forgotten? In the beginning, the universe was perfectly symmetrical. It was smooth, hot, and unified. As it expanded and cooled, that symmetry broke, creating the complexity we see today's stars, planets, and people. When you sleep, your brain waves slow down. Your conscious mind, which is busy creating complexity and labels all day, begins to fade. In the deep stages of sleep, you return to a state of symmetry. You lose the sense of me versus them. You return to the quiet, unified state of the early cosmos. Sleep is a nightly rehearsal for the peace that existed before the stars were born. It is a return to the source. But even as you sleep, your body is performing a miracle of physics. It is recycling the energy of the Big Bang to keep your heart beating. How much longer can this energy last? The first law of thermodynamics tells us that energy can never be destroyed. It only changes shape. The light from the Big Bang became heat. The heat became matter. The matter became stars. And the stars became you. When you eventually leave this world, your energy doesn't vanish. It simply shifts back into the cosmic flow. Your atoms will become part of the wind, the soil, and eventually, new stars in a distant future. You are part of an eternal recycling program. There is no such thing as a final end, only a new chapter. This is the ultimate comfort of science. You are, and always will be, a fundamental part of the total sum of existence. Before we say our final goodbye for tonight, I want to leave you with one last thought, a thought about the observer. If the universe created you to see itself, what happens when you close your eyes? As you drift into the deep dark now, imagine the universe as a giant eye that is finally closing for the night. You are that eye. Through your life, the universe has seen the beauty of the earth, the glow of the moon, and the complexity of love. Now, it is time for the universe to rest. It is time for the atoms to be still. The expansion continues. The dark energy pushes gently, and the ancient light of the Big Bang still hums in the background like a low-frequency lullaby. You are safe. You are ancient. You are stardust. You are home. I want you to imagine, just for a moment, that you are the only thing that exists. No walls, no bed, no earth. It feels cold, doesn't it? Lonely. But then, I want you to remember the 13.8 billion years of history we have traveled through together. You are not alone in a void. You are cradled in a masterpiece. Tonight, in our final hour, we explore the psychology of scale. We will discover why being small in a vast universe is actually the most relaxing truth you will ever find. We will look at the cosmic hum and the way the universe protects its most fragile creations. Stay with me, because as we reach the end of this journey, you won't feel like a speck of dust anymore. You will feel like the guest of honor at a feast that has been preparing for billions of years in our daily lives. We carry so much weight, the weight of deadlines, the weight of expectations, the weight of being important. But when we look at the Big Bang, that weight begins to evaporate. When you realize that the light from a distant quasar has been traveling for 12 billion years just to touch your retina. Your big problems start to look very, very manageable. I want you to feel the relief of being unimportant in the eyes of the stars. The universe doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't ask you to be perfect. It has been expanding perfectly well for billions of years without any help. You are allowed to just be. You are a passenger on a magnificent ship that knows exactly where it's going. Let the universe carry the heavy lifting tonight. Your only job is to breathe. But if the universe is so vast and we are so small, why did it bother to make the conditions for life so perfect? Why is the fine-tuning of the cosmos the ultimate lullaby? If the strength of gravity were just a fraction stronger, the universe would have collapsed back on itself long ago. If it were a fraction weaker, stars would never have formed. The laws of physics are like a set of dials that have been turned to the exact, precise position to allow you to exist. Scientists call this the anthropic principle. I call it the cosmic cradle. As you lie there, feel the precision of the universe, the very air you breathe. The way your heart beats, it's all supported by constants that haven't changed since the first millisecond of the Big Bang. You are not an accident. You are a statistical miracle that the universe worked very hard to produce. You are being held in place by the most stable forces in existence. There is a sound that accompanies this stability, a sound that has been ringing since the beginning. It is a frequency that matches the rhythm of deep sleep. We talked about the cosmic microwave background light, but did you know the universe also has a sound? In its earliest moments, the universe was filled with pressure waves, acoustic oscillations. These were literal sound waves traveling through the hot plasma. Though we cannot hear them with our ears today, we can see their imprints in the sky. It was a deep, low-frequency hum. I like to think of it as the universe's first song. As you drift off, try to imagine that low, resonant frequency. It is the vibration of creation. It is the steady, unchanging white noise of reality. It is a reminder that the universe is always on, always humming, always holding the space for you. We are reaching the end of our 8-chapter Odyssey, but every end in the universe is just a doorway. What is the final secret that the Big Bang is whispering to you right now? In physics, time is often described as a block. The past, the present, and the future all exist simultaneously in the four-dimensional fabric of space-time. This means that the moment of the Big Bang isn't gone. It is still there at the beginning of the block, and your life isn't fading. It is a permanent, etched line in the history of the cosmos. You are eternal. Your life is a fixed point in the geometry of the universe that can never be erased. Whenever you feel overwhelmed by the passage of time, remember that from the perspective of the universe, you are always happening. You are always here. You are always safe. This is the ultimate psychology of sleep, realizing that you don't have to chase the future or mourn the past. You are a part of the now that lasts forever. The lights are dimming, the stars are distant, but there is one final image I want you to hold in your mind before the darkness takes over. Imagine the universe as a vast, dark ocean. The stars are the whitecaps on the waves. You are a single drop of water in that ocean. A drop of water feels small, but a drop of water is the ocean. You have the same salt, the same chemistry, the same destiny as the whole. The Big Bang was the moment that first drop fell, and here you are, billions of years later, still part of the same sea. There is no place you can go where the universe is not. There is no depth you can sink to where gravity will not find you and hold you. The story of the Big Bang is your story. It is a story of expansion, of light, of structure, and finally of rest. Sleep now. The universe is awake so that you don't have to be. Good night, stardust. I want you to imagine that you are standing in a room made entirely of mirrors. But these aren't ordinary mirrors. Each one shows a slightly different version of the stars. In one, the galaxies are a soft violet. In another, the stars never formed at all, leaving a universe of pure golden mist. Tonight, we are leaving the boundaries of our own Big Bang. We are drifting into the multiverse, the idea that our entire universe is just one bubble in a vast, eternal ocean of other universes. As we explore these infinite echoes, you will feel your connection to this world loosen, allowing you to float into a sleep that is as deep and as wide as the multiverse itself. Stay with me, because at the end of this journey, you will realize that there is a version of you somewhere in the infinite who is already fast asleep. The Big Bang was a spectacular beginning for us, but what if it wasn't the only beginning? Scientists now theorize about a process called eternal inflation. Imagine a field of energy, vast and restless. In certain spots, the energy slows down and a bubble forms. Our universe, with all its billions of galaxies, is just one of those bubbles. As I speak, imagine these bubbles drifting. They are far apart, separated by a space that is expanding so fast that they can never touch. It is a cosmic foam. You are safe inside your bubble, protected by the laws of physics that were written the moment our bubble formed. The scale is so large that it makes all human noise disappear. There is only the slow, rhythmic drifting of universes in the dark. But what if these bubbles did touch once? What if there is a bruise on the edge of our universe that proves other worlds exist? Astronomers have looked at the map of the oldest light, the cosmic microwave background, and found something strange. A cold spot, a place where the temperature drops unexpectedly. Some believe this is a scar, a place where our bubble universe bumped into another bubble shortly after the Big Bang. Imagine the gentleness of that collision. Two entire realities, lightly touching like two soap bubbles in the air. It reminds us that we are part of a larger ecology. We aren't a closed system. We are part of a grand, infinite neighborhood. As you breathe in, imagine the vastness of that neighborhood. As you breathe out, feel the peace of being tucked away in your own quiet corner of it. If there are infinite bubbles, does that mean there are infinite versions of you? Somewhere out there, is there a world where you never have to worry again? In quantum mechanics, every time a choice is made, the universe splits. This is the many worlds interpretation. It suggests that every possibility that can happen does happen in a branching tree of reality. For your sleep tonight, this is a beautiful thought. It means that all the paths you didn't take, all the what-ifs that keep you awake, have already been resolved somewhere else. You don't have to carry them anymore. You can let them go. In this branch of reality, in this specific universe, your only mission is to rest. You are the version of you that gets to sleep deeply. You are the version that is safe. Let the other versions of you do the work. You are here to experience the silence. We are drifting further out now, to a place where the laws of physics themselves change. What if there is a universe where time runs backward? In our universe, gravity pulls things together. Light travels at a specific speed. But in the multiverse, the dials of physics might be set differently. There could be universes made entirely of light, where matter never settled into atoms, or universes where time moves like a spiral instead of a line. I want you to imagine these different songs of reality. Our universe is a cello, deep, resonant, and slow. Another might be a flute, high and airy. When you combine them all, it creates a cosmic symphony. You are one note in that symphony. And even when you are asleep, your note is held. Your frequency is part of the total vibration of everything. There is no such thing as off. There is only quiet. We are approaching the edge of the 9th chapter. There is one final realization about the multiverse that will help your mind let go of the physical world entirely. The most relaxing thing about the multiverse is its sheer, overwhelming abundance. It means the story never ends. Even when our stars grow cold, other big bangs are just beginning elsewhere. The fire of existence is never extinguished. You are a part of that eternal fire. You are a drop in an infinite sea that never runs dry. As you sink into your pillow, imagine yourself merging with that sea. You are no longer just a person in a bed. You are a consciousness drifting through the foam of infinite worlds. I want you to forget everything I've told you so far. Forget the stars. Forget the galaxies. Forget even the Big Bang itself. Tonight, we are going to travel to a place where time doesn't exist. We are going to the 0 point. People often ask, what was there before the beginning? And the answer is usually a shrug of the shoulders. But tonight, we are going to explore the beautiful, scientific possibilities of the void. We are going to drift into the quantum foma, place of pure potential, where universes are born and die in the blink of an eye. This is the final layer of our journey. As we go there, you will feel your thoughts become as light as a single photon, floating in a sea of nothingness that is actually ... everything. Stay with me for these final steps, because when we reach the end of this chapter, you won't just be asleep. You will be part of the infinite silence that existed before time began. As you lie there, think about the word before. To have a before, you must have a clock, you must have time. But Einstein taught us that time and space are woven together like a fabric. If the Big Bang was the beginning of that fabric, then asking what happened before it is like asking, what is north of the North Pole? It's not that there is a wall there, it's just that the direction itself doesn't exist yet. Feel the relief in that. You don't have to look for a cause. You don't have to look for a reason. There is a point where the why simply dissolves. In the moments leading up to the Big Bang, the universe was so small and so hot that the very concept of past and future merged into a single, eternal now. But if there was no time, how did the spark happen? How did nothing decide to become everything? Imagine the ocean from a high-altitude plane. It looks smooth, flat, and calm. But as you get closer, you see the waves, and if you look even closer at the shore, you see the white foam bubbles popping and forming in a chaotic, beautiful mess. Physicists believe that at the smallest possible scale, the Planck length space-time itself looks like that foam. Even in a vacuum, even in nothing, particles are constantly popping into existence and vanishing again. They are called virtual particles. The universe didn't come from a void. It came from a state of quantum fluctuation. As you breathe, imagine. Your thoughts are like those virtual particles. They appear, they shimmer for a second, and then they vanish back into the quiet foam of your mind. You don't need to hold on to them. They are just the natural fizz of existence. What if our entire Big Bang was just one of those bubbles that didn't pop? What if we are living inside a quantum fluctuation that just kept growing? Stephen Hawking had a beautiful idea called the no-boundary proposal. He used a mathematical concept called imaginary time. In our daily lives, time is like a line. Has a beginning and an end. But in the very early universe, time behaved more like space. It was like the surface of a globe. If you walk toward the South Pole, you don't fall off the edge of the world. You just reach a point where every direction is north. Time was like that. It didn't start. It was simply a smooth, rounded edge of reality. This is the ultimate lullaby for a worried mind. There is no beginning to be afraid of. There is no end to rush toward. The universe is a closed loop of perfection. You are safe within that curve. The universe is a self-contained masterpiece that requires nothing outside of it to exist. As we move deeper into the void, we encounter the big breath. Do you know why the universe is still growing and what it's trying to tell us about the silence? In this deep, pre-time state, there was no sound, there was no light, there was only potential. I want you to feel that potential in your own body. Every atom in you is currently holding enough energy to power a city, yet it sits there, perfectly still. The universe is a master of balance. For every star that burns, there is a cold void to match it. For every noise, there is an underlying silence. As you drift toward the end of this chapter, I want you to find that silence. It isn't an empty silence. It's a full silence. It's the silence of a seed before it breaks through the soil. It's the silence of the universe before the light broke free. We have traveled 13.8 billion years. We have seen the stars, the ghosts of dark matter, and the foam of the void. There is only one thing left to do. We are back at the 0 point, the now that never ends. You have journeyed through the entire psychology of the cosmos. You have seen that the universe is vast, but it is also intimate. You have seen that it is ancient, but it is also new in every moment. The Big Bang is still happening. It is happening in the expansion of space. It is happening in the beat of your heart. And tonight, it is happening in the way your mind finally lets go of the day. You are returning to the state of the no boundary, no edges, no limits, no worries. Take a deep, slow breath. As you settle into the stillness of your room, I want you to consider a staggering possibility. What if the Big Bang wasn't a random accident? What if the laws of physics were dialed in with such impossible precision that the universe was always destined to create you? Tonight, we explore the anthropic principle, the Goldilocks settings of the cosmos. We will look at why gravity, electromagnetism, and the expansion of space are tuned to a precision that defies logic. You are about to discover that you aren't just a tiny speck in a vast void. You are the moment the universe finally opened its eyes. Stay with me, because as we unravel the math of our existence, you will realize that the entire history of time was a path leading straight to your doorstep. Imagine a vast control panel with dozens of dials. One dial controls the strength of gravity. If you turned it just a fraction of a millimeter to the right, the Big Bang would have been a big crunch. The universe would have collapsed back into itself before the first star could blink. If you turned it a fraction to the left, gravity would have been too weak to pull gas together. The universe would be a thin, lonely mist of hydrogen, forever dark. But the dial is set perfectly. It is set at the exact strength required to allow galaxies to breathe and stars to burn for billions of years. As you lie there, feel the weight of your body on the mattress. That is gravity. It is the same force that was tuned 13.8 billion years ago to ensure you had a planet to stand on tonight. It is a steady, ancient grip that has never let go. Retention hook. But gravity is only the beginning. There is a number hidden in the vacuum of space that is so precise. It's like throwing a dart from one side of the universe and hitting a bullseye, the size of an atom. Scientists call it the dark energy density, or the cosmological constant. It is the force that pushes the universe outward. If this number were slightly larger, the universe would have expanded so fast that atoms could never have touched. If it were slightly smaller, the universe would have retracted instantly. The precision required for this is 1 part in 10 to the 120th power. To visualize that, imagine trying to balance 1 billion pencils on their tips, all at the same time, on a moving train. And yet, here we are. The expansion of the universe is balanced on a razor's edge so that life can thrive in the middle. You are living in the golden interval of time. Feel the peace in that precision. The universe isn't chaotic. It is finely tuned, like a masterfully played instrument. There is a famous saying, "We are a way for the cosmos to know itself." For billions of years, the universe was blind. It was just gas, heat, and rock. But then, on a small blue planet, atoms arranged themselves into neurons. They arranged themselves into you. When you look at the stars tonight, it isn't just you looking at the universe. It is the universe looking at itself. You are the sensory organ of the Big Bang. Your consciousness is the output of 13.8 billion years of calculation. When you dream, the universe is dreaming. When you wonder, the universe is curious. This is the ultimate psychology of sleep, recognizing that your mind is not separate from the stars. It is the stars finally waking up. But what happens to this cosmic intelligence when we sleep? Where does the self go when the lights of consciousness dim? As you drift closer to sleep, your ego, the part of you that worries about the bills and the future, begins to step aside. But the intelligence doesn't stop. Your heart keeps beating, your cells keep repairing. The fine-tuning of your biology continues without your help. This is the silent partnership. You can trust the universe to keep the engines running while you rest. The same laws that keep the galaxies in orbit are the laws that manage your breath. You are a part of a self-regulating, self-aware system. You don't have to try to exist. Existence is a gift that was prepared for you long ago. Let go of the controls. The universe has been doing this for a long time. We are reaching the end of chapter 11. There is one final fact about the carbon bond that connects your DNA to the very first stars. To make life, you need carbon. To make carbon, you need a very specific resonance inside a red giant star. If the nuclear force were even 0.5% different, no carbon would ever be made. You would be impossible, but the resonance exists. The carbon was made, and now that carbon is in your DNA, holding the code for your life. You are a biological miracle built on a physical miracle. You are the impossible dream of the Big Bang. As the darkness folds around you, remember that you are not an intruder in the cosmos. You are the guest of honor. Everything from the first spark to the last star was a setup for this very moment of peace. The universe is satisfied. The work is done. You are home. I want you to imagine a place where time stands still, a place where every secret, every ray of light, and every atom that has ever fallen into it is preserved forever in a perfect, frozen archive. For years, we were told that black holes were monsters that destroyed everything they touched. But tonight, we are going to look at them through the lens of peace. We are going to explore the holographic principle, the idea that black holes are actually the universe's hard drives. They are the places where the information of the cosmos is stored, etched into the very fabric of their event horizons. As we drift toward the dark, you will realize that in a universe governed by these giants, nothing is ever truly deleted. Every moment of your life is part of a permanent record that even time cannot touch. Stay with me, because the darkness isn't an end. It's a sanctuary of memory. What is a black hole, really? It isn't a hole at all. It is a region of space where gravity has become so powerful that it has folded space-time around itself. The boundary is called the event horizon. Imagine you are watching a clock fall toward that boundary. To you, the observer, the clock begins to slow down. As it nears the edge, the seconds stretch into minutes, then hours, then years. At the very edge, the clock appears to stop entirely. It becomes a frozen image, a permanent ghost on the threshold of the dark dot as you lie in bed. Feel that slowing down in your own mind. The day is behind you. The frantic ticking of the clock has faded. You are entering your own event horizon of sleep, where the worries of the world can no longer reach you. You are entering the zone where time loses its grip. But if time stops, at the edge, where does the stuff go? What happens to the light that falls inside? The answer lies in a secret written on the surface of the dark. There is a revolutionary idea in physics that suggests the information of an object isn't lost when it falls into a black hole. Instead, it is smeared across the surface of the event horizon. Think of it like a 2D hologram that contains all the data of a 3D object. That this means that a black hole is the most information-dense thing in existence. It is a library of every photon and particle that has ever crossed its path. Scientists now wonder if the entire universe works this way. We are all just 3D projections of information written on a distant 2D boundary. Feel the security in this. If the universe is a hologram, then your story is saved. It isn't drifting in a chaotic void. It is stored in the very geometry of space-time. You are a part of the permanent data of the cosmos. But black holes aren't just archives. They are also the heartbeats of galaxies. Without these monsters, the stars wouldn't have a home to spin around. In the center of almost every galaxy, including our own Milky Way, sits a supermassive black hole. We call ours Sagittarius A*. It is 4 million times the mass of our sun. Instead of seeing it as a predator, think of it as an anchor. It is the gravitational lighthouse that keeps billions of stars in their beautiful, spiraling orbits. It provides the stability that allowed our solar system to form over billions of years. Just as that central anchor holds the galaxy together, there is a central core in you, your consciousness, that holds all your memories and dreams together. Even when you sleep, that anchor remains. You don't drift away into nothingness. You revolve around a steady, unchanging center. As we reach the deep hours of the night, we have to ask, what happens at the very center? What is the singularity? And why is it the ultimate place of rest? At the very heart of a black hole lies the singularity. It is a point where density becomes infinite and the laws of physics as we know them break down. It is a place of total unity. In the singularity, there is no here or there. There is no before or after. It is the same state as the very first millisecond of the Big Bang. It is the universe returning to its simplest, most unified form. When you fall into a deep, dreamless sleep, you are experiencing your own personal singularity, a state where the you and the world merge into one. There is no stress in the singularity. There is no conflict. It is the point where the universe stops trying to be many things and remembers that it is only one thing. We are ending our 12th chapter, but there is one final beautiful thought. Did you know that black holes eventually evaporate, breathing their information back into the universe? Stephen Hawking discovered that black holes aren't completely black. They glow with a tiny bit of heat called Hawking radiation. Over unimaginable stretches of time, they slowly leak their energy back into space. This means that even the black holes are part of the cycle of breath. They inhale matter, they protect it for eons, and then they slowly exhale it back into the light. Nothing is ever trapped forever. The universe is a perfect circle of breathing in and breathing out. You can let go now. The cosmic librarian has recorded your day. Your memories are safe in the holographic skin of the night. The anchor is holding. The singularity of sleep is waiting for you. Inhale the darkness, exhale the light. The stars are keeping watch. Good night, keeper of secrets. I want you to take a moment to listen to the silence in your room. Usually, we think of time as a steady, ticking clock, a rigid master that we can never escape. But what if I told you that the clock is an illusion? What if I told you that time is more like a piece of silk, capable of stretching, folding, and slowing down, until a single second feels like an eternity of peace? Tonight, we dive into general relativity and the magic of time dilation. We will explore how gravity and speed can actually change the tempo of reality. As we journey through the gravitational wells of the cosmos, you will feel the pressure of the seconds melt away. You will learn that time is not a cage, but a song, and tonight, that song is slowing down just for you. Stay with me, because once you understand that time is flexible, you will finally give yourself permission to drift without a deadline. Imagine time is not a line, but a river. Most of the time, we feel like we are being swept away by a fast current. But Einstein discovered that the river doesn't flow at the same speed for everyone. If the river flows past a heavy mountain, a massive object like a planet or a star, the water slows down, it lingers. This is gravitational time dilation. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves. This means that at the base of a mountain, time actually moves a tiny bit slower than at the peak. Your feet are technically younger than your head. As you lie here, imagine your bed is at the very bottom of a deep, peaceful gravitational well. Feel the weight of the earth beneath you. That weight is a gift. It is pulling on the fabric of time, stretching it out, making this moment of rest longer and deeper. In this room, the river has become a still, quiet pond. There is no rush. There is only the slow, heavy presence of the now. But what happens when gravity becomes so strong that time almost stops? What would it feel like to spend a night on a planet near a black hole, where a few hours could last 1,000 years? Think of the famous ocean planet near a massive black hole. Because the gravity there is so immense, time is stretched to its absolute limit. 1 hour on that surface could be 7 years back on Earth. Don't I want you to use this as a mental sanctuary? Imagine you are resting in a place where time has been stretched so thin that your one night of sleep is equal to a century of rest in the outside world. While the world outside hurries and scurries, you are tucked away in a fold of space-time, where the clocks have no power. You have all the time in the universe. You are not wasting time. You are expanding it. You are luxury itself. Gravity isn't the only thing that can stretch the silk of time. Speed, the very act of moving, can also turn a minute into a masterpiece. There is a famous thought experiment called the twin paradox. If one twin stays on Earth and the other travels through the stars at nearly the speed of light, the traveling twin will return to find their brother much older, while they have barely aged at all. Speed is a shield against the passage of time. As you drift off, imagine you are a passenger on a silent, silver craft traveling through the void. As you move faster and faster into your dreams, the time of the waking world becomes irrelevant. You are outrunning the sun. You are outrunning the morning. You are in a state of time travel toward the future, where the only thing that matters is the rhythm of your own heart. Your motion through the dreamscape is keeping you young, keeping you still, and keeping you safe. If time can stretch and slow, does that mean the Big Bang is still happening right now? could we, in a sense, still hear the first note of the song? Because light takes time to travel. When we look at distant galaxies, we are literally looking into the past. We are seeing time as it was, not as it is. In a way, the entire history of the universe is laid out in layers around us. Like the rings of a tree, the first second of the Big Bang hasn't disappeared. Its light is still traveling. Its energy is still vibrating. Because of the expansion of space, that first second has been stretched out over 13.8 billion years. It is the longest second in history. As you breathe, imagine you are tapping into that original, stretched out moment. The universe didn't rush through its birth, and you don't need to rush through your life. You are part of a long, slow-motion unfolding. You are a note in a symphony that takes billions of years to play. There is plenty of room for your silence. We are ending chapter 13, but I want to leave you with the ultimate secret of the space-time fabric. Did you know that space and time are the same thing? We call it space-time. You cannot have one without the other. This means that as long as you have a place to be, a bed, a room, a home, you also have time. Space is time. The vastness of the universe is just a physical manifestation of how much time we have. The billions of light years of empty space are a promise that the story is not over. The universe is giving you room to breathe and time to be. Let the clock on your wall be a lie. Listen instead to the song of gravity. Feel the fabric of the night stretching out beneath you, supporting you, slowing down for you. You have arrived at the part of the river where the water is deep and still. The stars are moving slowly. The earth is turning slowly, and you are finally out of time. Good night, traveler of the silk.